Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this is the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition transcripts. We're on page 131. Let me look and see what this one. Hold on, I gotta see what video this would be. I think it's number 5. But anyway, yeah, I think it's 5. But this is the deposition for the Virginia Giuffre, used to be Roberts. Uh, let's see, what was it? A defamation suit. I think that Virginia Giuffre did against Maxwell. Let me write this down just so I don't forget. But I have something that I'm working on with Chat GPT. Started doing this stuff. Uh, I'm trying to get almost like a maybe an animated thing because the way the guy keeps going on here is saying objection to the Farming Foundation, and I'm hoping it turns out kind of what I put into Chat GPT as far as the instructions for it. But I think it's going to be kind of cool. I'm hoping it will. But so you may see this again, but it'll be animated instead of me doing it. It'll be like different voices and stuff. I'm hoping Chat GPT can do it that way. But anyway, it says, question, are those your initials? Do you recall being on the flight? Those are my initials, Wiz, redacted. I don't recall this flight either, but I would be more likely to if I had a bit more time to study the timing of this. Your testimony is you don't recall flying with redacted from redacted to redacted. I don't recall the redacted to redacted flights. I've definitely flown with redacted. On that same page, you will see beneath there, beneath 22, you will see the indication same as above, same as above, same as above in the column that originally had the initials, and the names. Uh-huh. Do you recall flying with redacted? Redacted from redacted to redacted. I do. So the GM that would be represented in that column could be you. I recall going to redacted with redacted, so that is likely to be me. You were on Jeffrey's plane for that trip? I believe I was. Do you know who redacted is? I do not. I'm going back towards the front, which is going to be the redacted, please. And you're going to see, hang on, I'm not, take your time. Okay. You're going to see in the date column, you will see redacted, and then about halfway down, you will see redacted. Then you will see the redacted, which is the column, which is where I want you to start looking at the log. And there you're going to see basically all this redacted. Okay. If you look at the column, if you go back up to the top on the redacted, if you look at the column, you will see JEGM redacted, Virginia Roberts, and I believe it says redacted. Sorry, I'm not reading that very well. Do you recall flying from, if you see the dates, the redacted? Do you recall a trip that went from the United States to redacted and to the places I just mentioned where Virginia Roberts was on the plane with you, Mr. Pagliuca? Objection to the Foreman Foundation. Okay, I already testified that I don't recall Virginia on any of these flights. I would like to mark as Maxwell 7. I will put it at the top. Maxwell Exhibit 7, photo marked for identification. Mr. Pagliuca, has this document been produced in discovery? Yes. Do you have a Bates number? Ms. McCullough, this one doesn't. Q. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Pagaluga, I don't recall seeing this document, so I would like to see a Bates number document before we ask questions about it. Ms. McCauley, can you go look for it and I will continue? We will set that aside until we get a Bates number. You may want to leave that log up and set it to the side and we will bounce back to that. Do you recall, I think earlier, you said you visited Jeffrey's Island? I think they called it St. Jeffrey or St. James, the U.S. Virgin Island home. St. James. Do you recall whether redacted was ever on the island? Categorically, definitely, absolutely, with a shadow of doubt. When I was present, or any other time that I'm aware of, was redacted ever on that island. And I do not believe he went to that island Ever, ever. That is an absolute fabrication and an absolute flat out lie. I think they're talking about Prince Andrew here. Just saying, just saying. I'm just speculating, but I'm just saying. Anyway, so was redacted ever at any of Jeffrey Epstein's homes when you present? Other than the island, I know you said that you did not, that did not happen. The home in either New York or Palm Beach or New Mexico. I do believe at any time, or do not believe at any time, redacted was at any of Jeffrey's homes. I have absolutely no knowledge or otherwise that he was ever there. You don't recall having dinner with him at any of those homes? Again, Virginia is absolutely totally lying. That's why I think it's Prince Andrew. Just saying, because I've seen it just throughout the documents they're trying to cover it for him. Okay, so this is a subject of defamation about Virginia and the lies she has told. And one of the lies she told was that President Clinton was on the island when where I was present. Absolutely 1,000%. That is a flat out total fabrication and lie. You did fly on planes, Jeffrey Epstein's planes with President Clinton. Is that correct? I've flown, yes. Would it be fair to say that President Clinton and Jeffrey are friends? I wouldn't be able to categorize it like that, no. Are they acquaintances? I wouldn't categorize it. He just allowed him to use his plane. I couldn't categorize Jeffrey's relationship. When you were on the plane with Jeffrey and President Clinton, did you observe Jeffrey and Redacted talking? I'm sure they did. Did they seem friendly? I don't recollect. Was Epstein one of the original people that conceived the Redacted? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. Do you know? I don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about. Did you ever, not at one of his houses, but did you ever eat with Redacted and Jeffrey Epstein? Are you just talking in general? Anywhere? In general. I believe on a plane of this nature, we would have had a meal, but not outside of the travel on the flights. I can't recollect having a meal with them, but just so we're clear, the allegations that Redacted had a meal on Jeffrey Epstein's or Jeffrey's Island is 100% false. But you may have had a meal on Jeffrey's plane. I'm sure he had meals on Jeffrey's planes. You do know how many times he flew on Jeffrey's plane? I don't. Do you know who Redacted is? I do. How do you know him? He used to work or still works for Redacted. Did you ever have a relationship with him? We're talking about adult consensual relationships. It's off the record. I'm not asking what you did with him. I'm asking if you ever had a relationship with him. Mr. Pagliuca, if you understand the term relationship, certainly you can answer that. Define relationship. Somebody that you would have spent time together, either seeing them in a romantic relationship, or you need to be, what do you mean by romantic? I was friends with Redacted, but you're suggesting something more. So I want to be clear what you're actually asking me. You defined it. You said you were friends with them. If that's what you were, that's all I need to know. While you were on the trip with Redacted, do you recall where you stayed at these locations? In other words, would you leave the jet and stay overnight at a hotel? Do you have a recollection of this trip? I recollect the trip, but if you're asking me where we stayed, you can see it's a very fast-paced trip. It was very tiring, and I don't recollect where we stayed. Do you recollect if you stayed at the same place Redacted stayed? In other words, if you left the plane to go to a hotel, did you all go together? Is your recollection? I honestly don't recollect, no. Part of this trip we were just talking about, there's a flight that goes to Thailand. Do you remember being in Thailand? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. Are you asking me on the Redacted trip? Are you referencing something? The part that, let me make sure I've got it here. The entry that would be the Thailand would be the one. Let me make sure I'm correct. I have you on the wrong page. It's actually the page before. It's going to be Redacted and it's going to be the entry on redacted, starting on redacted, and then it goes down to where it has the same as above to redacted. I'm saying redacted. Okay, Mr. Pagliuca, that's what the document says. All right, I'm going to stop it here. I got to take the damn dog out. But anyway, I'll get back to this in just a few minutes. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.